Hi, this is Alex from Adult Services. Welcome to Hobby a Month. In today's video, we're going to learn about the hobby of hiking. I will provide some resources and some tips for hiking. Okay, so the first thing you have to think about, what type of hike do you want to explore? Will it be an easy hike, a moderate hike, or a difficult hike? How long of a hike do you want to take? Does it only want to be 30 minutes, 2 hours, or a couple of days? It's the theme of the hike. Would you like an ocean hike on a beach, hike in a state park, canyon hike, paved trail, boardwalk trail, dirt trail, sand trail? The theme of the hike sort of goes along with the easy hike, moderate hike, difficult hike. And again, depending on what kind of hike you're doing, will depend on maybe what time frame. Are you going to be a couple minutes? Are you going to be a couple hours, a couple days? Where can I hike? Local forest preserves, national parks, state parks. Is there a fee involved for parking or admission to the park? You always like to check out the website, visit the visitor center when you arrive, and will I need lodging or do I need to camp? So see, some things to think about when you're planning out your first hike journey. And once you've sort of planned out what you want to do for a hike, you got to think about to yourself, what to bring on a hiking trip. So a walking stick, a camera or a video camera or both. Those are my favorite because I do a lot of nature photography when I'm on my trips. So I definitely like a camera or at least a video camera, or even like your smartphone has a, if it has a camera or video camera, you never know when you'll be able to capture something on your hike. Water bottle and snacks are always good depending on what the weather is doing or how long of a hike. I want to stay hydrated and I want a little snack so that I'm able to get through my hike. A map, a trail map, you can print that off on the website or pick up at the parks. That's something important. A compass, if you're not familiar with the area, it's good to know where north is, south, east, and west. I always like to keep a cell phone or smartphone with a map or GPS is a plus. However, I do like to also keep a cell phone or smartphone with me because if I need to get a hold of somebody or somebody needs to get a hold of me, it's a good safety thing to have a phone with you. Sunscreen, you want to try to avoid sunburn, so sunscreen's a good thing to have. Bug spray, there's a lot of insects out on the trail, so you might want to make sure you have some bug spray with you depending on what time of the year you're at. In the wintertime, you won't need it, but like if you're during the summer months, you want to make sure you have some bug sprays to keep an eye out for mosquitoes. Ticks, definitely got to be careful, especially now if you're at one of the local forest preserves. The ticks are out with the deer, and no see them. So you think about all the different type of bugs out there. It's good to have some sort of insect spray to protect yourself, or just be aware of what's out there. A plant guide or bird guide or an animal guide. These you can check out from your local library. Just type in like a plant guide or like bird guide. You know, the Audubon has different ones, Kaufman's. It's definitely good to have a plant guide or bird guide or an animal guide if you're doing a lot of, you want to identify plants and birds and animals. A hat and sunglasses, a good pair of hiking shoes and an extra pair of shoes. Definitely if you have a muddy trail, it's good to have an extra pair of shoes so that if you did drive there, you might be able to save the life of your carpets in your car. So always have an extra pair of shoes, or if they get wet, that's always a good thing to put on a dry pair of shoes. And then depending on the weather, temperature, and climate, what type of clothes will I wear? Do I need a jacket, gloves, hat, jeans, t-shirt? It depends on what the weather is doing. So a lot of things to think about when you're planning your first hiking trip. These are the things that I go through when I go on a hiking trip. Things to do on the hike. So what can we do on a hike? Photography and identification of wildlife, birds, animals, and scenery. Just relax and take your time. Travel with a friend or family member. Take a tour. Sometimes places offer free hiking tours or visitor center guides and staff, so check in with the visitor center. Sometimes they're free. Sometimes you may need to pay for a tour, so do the research ahead of time. And that's important. Do your research before you arrive or stop by the visitor center when you do arrive if you don't have access to a computer. Plan for your hike. So a couple things for planning for your hikes. I like Google Maps to find out how to get to your destination. So again, if you need to drive to a new destination you've never been to, you put the place where you're going to, and then in the directions. So for example, if I want to go to the Lakewood Forest Preserve, it'll show it's where it's located, and I can get directions from where I'm at. So let's say I'm starting in Fox Lake. I want to go to Lakewood Forest Preserve, it'll give me a direction of where to drive. So again, Google Maps is a very, very good tool. Um, if in certain areas you might be able to find out if there's public transportation to get there. I know with that one, there's not a lot of public transportation to get there, but like for driving, it'll give you an idea how long it's going to go. So keep that in mind when you're planning your visit. Google Maps is a good tool. Will I be driving, walking, biking, or public transportation, or flying? So, for example, if you're traveling in Lake County, you could check out the Lake County, Illinois Transit. So if you're trying to look for a place to hike, definitely take a look to see where some of the routes. There's transit, metro rail. If you can take the train, you can take the train maybe to certain places. Pace bus, the RTA. So depending on where you're going, you can click on one of those links, and it'll give you some resources. So keep that in mind. Public transportation, or you might have to get a taxi depending on where you're getting. So that's an interesting link to check out. Or if you're flying, let's say you're flying out of state, when it's safe, you can go to Travelocity.com and you put your destination in there, and you can get an idea of what kind of flights are out there. Or you can just go to Google.com and type in your favorite airline and then figure out how you're going to get there. Or a bus or a train, depends on how you want to get there. So keep that in mind. Weather, very important. Weather can change on a dime. So check the weather before you go out to where you're going, because you might need a raincoat. Or if it's storming, you don't want to even travel out there, you might have to postpone your plans. So I like weather.com. There's a lot of different weather websites out there, but this one's good because then you can search by your zip code or search the city that you're going to. So if we're going to, we want to find out what's happening in, let's say Fox Lake, Illinois, because we're going to be hiking in Fox Lake. You just type that into there, and then you'll get your weather, what it's going to be like. Plan your day and times. Find out the hours of operation. It's important. If parks close at a certain time, don't start a long hike and get trapped on the trail. Know your time zone. If you're heading out to, let's say, California, you're going to have a couple time zone changes. So know what time zone you're in. I'm in Central, Eastern, Pacific time. Make sure your watch is set to that. If you're unfamiliar with an area, do the research. Visit the visitor center. I love the visitor centers at some of the local national parks and state parks. You check out their website and learn as much as you can about the place you're traveling to. Important, includes any rules, regulations, restrictions at the park, hours, trail closures, and more. So definitely take a look at that when you're planning for your hike. Okay, so I had to pick my 4 favorite places. I've been to a lot of different places, but I have to say these are my 4 favorite places I've been over the years. And I've provided some links to the website. So the Grand Canyon, this was a picture I took at the Grand Canyon a couple of years ago. The Smoky Mountains, the Everglades. Again, the type of trail, they had a boardwalk trail there. This was more of like a mountain trail. This was a rim trail. I know you could go down into the canyon in Grand Canyon. Haven't done that yet, but I like the rim trail. It's nice, and they actually have a paved trail, which is really nice. But you could have a great overview of the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Smoky Mountains, again, a lot of different trails to waterfalls and mountain overlooks. The Everglades has boardwalk trails. In Lakewood, that's a local forest reserve. I was at a pine forest trail, which I really, really like. So different types of trails, depending on where you want to travel. So at each of them, again, I like the different websites. The Grand Canyon, Arizona has through the National Park website. They have some information about the park. You can plan your visit, learn about the park, maps, a lot of different things, park closures, so things to keep in mind. The Grand Canyon National Park Visitor Center, direct link to the Visitor Center. So they have their hours, which ones are open. So again, you'll learn a lot just by going to those 2 websites. The Great Smoky Mountains, again, they have through the National Park Service, they have some information, plan your visit. So the National Park website definitely has a lot of similarities with their how they laid out their website, but they have they're a wealth of information. Wildflowers, things to do, current conditions. So you'll find a lot of different things to learn about just to get ready for that hike. Then there's, of course, their visitor center. They have a couple of visitor centers in the Smokies, their hours of operation. The Everglades, again, they have their own website. And then they have a place where you can plan your visit at the visitor center. couple different locations where they have visitor centers, so that's kind of important. And then finally, your local forest reserve. My favorite's Lakewood, so you go to lakecountyforestreserve.org, and I had bookmarked it to Lakewood because that's one of my favorites. But you can also look up by preserves and facility listing. So this is the one that's in Lakewood. They tell you about what you can do there, how many acres, the trail maps. It's always very, very helpful to just click on the trail map. And you can take a look at, and actually this one's nice because it actually shows multiple trails throughout the, okay. There we go. Okay, so you can see, it's just taking a little while here, but when you get on the interactive trail map, it'll actually show you some of the trails that are in the area. So give it 1 second. And if you have a smartphone, you can actually pull this up on your smartphone. So you can see all the different trails, where the parking lots are. So this is a really cool tool. And you can move around on the screen to see, actually, if you want to continue, I know there's like the Millennium Trail. It'll actually, you can continue looking up and down the trail to see where the different trails go. So if you're biking or hiking, definitely keep that in mind. It's a really, really nice tool to check out. Other resources to explore and research places to hike and travel. So a lot of people post things on YouTube channels, so I just like to go to YouTube. For example, when I was exploring the Grand Canyon, I know the Grand Canyon had their own channel, so I just went to YouTube and did a search on Grand Canyon. So if you click on that link, it'll actually take you to the Grand Canyon one. So Grand Canyon Conservancy actually has a lot of different videos that you can click on. So you can really get a sort of a virtual tour, I guess, of what's what's out there. Grand Canyon National Park trail videos. So that's one place you can check out the Grand Canyon Conservancy. And if you're logged into your Google account, or you can actually subscribe, and you can actually get updates from there, which is really cool. So, I mean, I could type in like Everglades, also National Park, and you'll see like a lot of different things that people have taken pictures of. You know, Grand Canyon National Park. So, I mean, not just the one, that channel. There's like other people have done videos, or people have actually uploaded like videos from National Geographic or different, clips of videos out there. So, I mean, definitely take a look at all the different videos that are out there to help you explore the place before you visit there. So in addition to checking out YouTube channels and videos, a lot of the websites, always check out the State Park and Department of Natural Resources website. So for example, if you're trying to travel to a place to hike in Illinois, I like to go to this website, illinois.gov, and it'll bring up Parks and Recreation, and you can click on state parks, and you can see all the different state parks that are in the area. So you can do find park by region, find park by A to Z. So we could start by region. So let's say the Northeast area. These are the different parks, and they're all clickable links. So let's say we want to go to the Chain of Lakes Park, which is very close to us. You can click on that, and it'll give you some information about that. And then this will always take you back, and it's historical sites. So definitely take a look at the Department of Natural Resource website. Wildlife refuges, that's another place you could take a look at for different parks. Planning, visits, the National Wildlife Refuge System. Find a refuge, so if you want to pick a refuge by zip code, by state, so there's quite a bit throughout the whole entire, so let's say we wanted to go down to like Passage Key National Wildlife Refuge in Florida. You can take a look and see where that was located. Or by state, so you can just browse around on here, and it'll tell you all the different ones that are in the different states. So that's an interesting resource to check out. National Park website, again, I've already been there a couple times, but it's still a great place to check out. And you can do find a park by state. So all the different states have different parks. So if we want to see what was in Illinois, for example, these are all the historic sites and monuments and trails, and a lot of different things to take a look at and check out. And then finally, reviews. So if I'm going somewhere new, I'd like to find out a review, how people liked it. So you could type in, let's say, the Grand Canyon, Arizona, and you can get some reviews on just the places in general on the Grand Canyon. Actually, if you're going to be staying, that's another thing. If you're going to be staying, let's say, out of state, you want to look at some of the different hotels and maybe places to eat. So TripAdvisor gives a lot of different reviews. So let's say we wanted to go to the Grand Canyon South Rim. You know, they have over 23,018 reviews, and again, it's organized by you know, from the mostly the most recent at the top. So, and that's the general introduction to Hobby a Month for hiking. These are some of the things that I consider when I go on a hiking trip. So again, there's a lot of different things that you might consider, so just see what works for you. But I just wanted to share some of my resources and a couple of my considerations that I like to think about before I go on a hiking trip. So thank you for coming to today's program. Stay tuned for future programs on the Fox Lake Library website, on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Check out our digital newsletter and check our website for updates. And you have a good day.